What's going on, guys? Bart here with Tully Television, and today we're going to be continuing our coverage of Legion of X by getting into Legion of X number 4. And in this issue, we're going to find out who officially is the trickster god that has been plaguing Krokoa. We're also going to find out the connection between this trickster god and Switch, the skin jacker character that we've been dealing with, and their connection together, and some other little details that are going to add to the story for the rest of the series. But before we do all that, I want to thank you for stopping by, liking, commenting, sharing all that beautiful YouTube stuff. If it wasn't for you guys, we would not be reaching the heights and limits that we have been reaching. We have officially reached over 200 subscribers, and it's only the audience I have to thank for that. I hope that I can continue to entertain you, bring some sort of joy into your life. A smile on your face is the aim of Tully Television here, and without further ado, let's get into the issue entitled Pillow Talk, written by Cy Spurrier. Artist is Jan Bazaldua. Colorist is Federico Blee. And the cover artist is Dyke Ruan and Matthew Wilson. And like I said, basically we start off with I want to make sure I remember that character's name. We start off with Paulie here, who has been a part of the series since it started, and he was basically guarding the area where Switch is at. They were able to capture this entity basically last issue. Seems like Paulie wanted to go back to the altar a little bit to continue his therapy, and he thought that the person coming was going to help babysit Switch, but they actually ended up releasing them. We also get here Weaponless Zen and Nightcrawler. Basically, Weaponless Zen in this issue is going back and forth to Krokoa and Krokoa. Basically making her rounds. She's making rounds to gather information. She's becoming more and more under the realization that as much as Kurt has a confined way of looking at the world that's totally different than hers, she realizes that he still has the adaptability to live his life around those ways that he wants to live. And it seems like she thought all this time there was only one way. And she's beginning to understand that there's probably more to life than what she's led to believe on Krokoa. And basically, I feel like this relationship could be awesome to watch continue, and I hope that, they do remain to have a connection throughout the series. We also see Legion with Professor X and Xavier here, and Zorn and Torn. And basically this is the Juggernaut confronting Xavier about rejecting his membership into the Legionnaire team. Xavier's feeling like Juggernaut's not exactly the person who, like, he feels like even with the recent destruction at Krokoa that Juggernaut accidentally did while under the influence of Switch, Xavier's using that as an excuse. Xavier in this series and since he's come back, has been a real dipshit. You know what I mean? A real a-hole, man. And he definitely even proves it here by shutting down Kane Marco's head for the moment, because Legion was talking about what the no place, and what some of the no places on Krokoa was areas Moira McTaggart made to torture and stuff like that people for information. And it seemed like maybe Xavier knew about this. Maybe others didn't know, but Xavier seems to know a lot of things that he just lets slide and uses to try to use towards his own advantage. Xavier's always been an iffy character over the last few decades, even finding out over the years that he even had some secret love for Jean Grey. Even it's like he's really had some really dark thoughts and has followed up on some really dark actions. And for him to be shutting down brains like this, you would have never thought that would be the Xavier that we met all the way back in the 60s when the X-Men first started, right? But we see progressively over the decades, and even still now, that Xavier's willing to do things that he thinks is for the greater good, even if it's against what everyone else is thinking or saying. But basically, it's David Haller proving his point to Xavier that Krokoa has a ton of things hiding underneath the surface, and Legion and Warlock here talk about fathers and their relationship with fathers, as Weaponless Zen here continues her inner monologue, her inner thoughts about her life on Krokoa compared to Krokoa, and various missions that the Legionnaires have been basically a montage of stuff that Nightcrawler has been doing as far as missions and stuff, and Weaponless Zen's admiration for him continues, and again, just realizing that there's more to this life than that what she's thinking. With the release of Switch, Chamber decides to help out, and the body that the Switch was taken over was atomized because you're able to resurrect everyone, but Switch ended up taking off and eventually taking over Nightcrawler. But as that's going on, again, Weaponless Zen is going through these different districts of Krokoa, because at this point, a storm is up there, and they're terraforming Mars. So there's a lot of different things going on between that, and then, of course, Aura Soretta still wanting Weaponless Zen to find this god of mischief, so to speak. So what we have here is basically Switch keeping Nightcrawler in a corner of like, I would imagine, like in the corner of his own mind or something like that. And then we finally kind of realize who the god of mischief has been, and it's not Loki, but this guy. His name is Tumult, Tumult, the Trickster Chimera. And basically, he is a combination of every society's god of mischief, whether it be Asgard, different cultures and tribes throughout the realms. They all have their version of a god of mischief, and this to melt is a combination of all of them. That's why the horned hat kept coming into play, making people think that it was Loki. That's his contribution to the getup. Is the hat was part of the Chimera design, which means that Chimera is basically two or more beings that are combined into one. And that's basically, it's all these mischief gods combined into this one trickster Chimera, and is basically telling Nightcrawler that there's the reason why they left Krokoa and how they made it to Krokoa was that Switch was the first one to believe in this Chimera being, and they've been working in unison on Krokoa to try to hide from Krokoa, and basically Nightcrawler's asking who is he hiding from, and it's again Aura Sarata, because what she wants to do is basically destroy him instead of just letting him leave and never coming back. So him and Switch worked together to make it to Krokoa to hide, but little did they know that Krokoa was going to be sending Weaponless Sen to investigate and find these, to find at least the trickster Chimera, and we're going to find out in episode issue 5 where that goes, because Weaponless Sen seems to maybe be on a point now where her relationship with Nightcrawler and her relationship with the Krokoa are going to come to a head, because I'm sure Nightcrawler's not going to want to hand over this tuna melt. Let's just call him Tuna Melt. He's not going to want to hand over Tuna Melt over to Krokoa. They're going to want to handle him on Krokoa because of the things that have happened there because of him. And Switch. So it's going to be interesting to see how Weaponless Sen's loyalties are divided. We're going to see this part of the story wrapping up soon, because after issue 5 we'll have an Avengers versus Eternals tie-in for issue 6 that happened during that time, and then issue 7 through 10 basically wrap up the last bit of story there for the series before we get into before the Nightcrawler series happened for Sinister. And when that wraps up, we'll see where and how our Legionnaires land up and wind up in the X universe. But I want to thank all of you guys for stopping by, liking, commenting, sharing. I hope that today was the day we earned your subscription. I hope that you've been enjoying this coverage of Legion of X. I felt like the story that they started off with, that they tried to do a little bit too much, too much complicated weaving for everything, but it's still getting woven in together, and will come to head in the next issue. So you let me know your thoughts and ideas of the series down below, and until next time, peace, Snookums.